Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. This is the first podcast for counselors that just don't align with the traditional approaches to business and that want to use their spiritual gifts, talents, and interests to create, you guessed it, a private practice with soul. So, look, leave it to me to provide you with everything you need, including strategies that you can use to increase your income, reduce your workload, and of course, increase inquiries and referrals to your beautiful soul-led private practice. I love it so much. If you haven't done it already, grab your journal, grab your pen, and let's begin. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's me, and I wanted to come on today and talk with you about something that came up in the pop-up groups recently, which is so cool. I think it's such a topic and it's going to create such a vibe for us, and I know you're going to love it so much because I believe, and I know you do too, that when we are building a private practice and we're building that private practice from soul, that when we take our soul's guidance, nothing can actually go wrong. Okay. And what I mean by that is, of course, you can make, decisions you regret later on, but your soul actually has the blueprint for not only your business, but for your life. And I think a lot of the time we could do better in business if we allowed ourselves to tune in to that. And we saw that over April. So for those of you who don't know, in April, what a crazy month. We had 4 pop-up groups. And I'll just give you a quick backstory to this as well. What happened was in March, I got the idea, oh my gosh, there are so many new people to Counsellors Connect Australia and to the Australian Counsellors in Private Practice online community, and they don't even know what I do. And I thought, how can I let them know? So, of course, I tapped in to my soul's guidance, and what came through for me was give them an experience of what you do. So that's what I did. So I created these gorgeous pop-up groups. I had 4 of them. I was only going to do 1 or 2, but I did 4. So I had one for the private practice startup. I had another one for marketing in your private practice, another one for therapists to learn how to create and sell digital products in things like Canva so they could create additional income streams for their private practice. And I had another one on leading your private practice from your heart space, from your soul space, even if it's only you in the business, right? Anyway, so I made these banners in Canva and put them on my Facebook business page and everything. And I made like 4 little Easter eggs, and each Easter egg represented one of the 4 pop-up groups. And I was so excited about doing it. And you know what? I was debriefing in another group that I'm in, and I was saying, hey, here's what happened with my lazy launch. But I wasn't actually launching anything. I don't know why I said that. I think I had it in my head. I wanted to provide them with a launch debrief, but I wasn't actually launching anything. So then it kind of didn't make sense. So I edited that post and just sort of said, well, this is what happened. I wanted to give people an experience of what it could be like to work with me in some of my paid programs. And so I did these pop-up groups, and this is how it went. So anyway, for some reason I thought it would be a really great idea to have a pop-up group in the morning and the afternoon in the first week of April. I don't know why I did that. Would I do it again? No, it was really exhausting because it was a lot of energy. Because when we get on these calls, so each pop-up group had, an hour Zoom call with me, but I stayed on the Zoom call a lot longer than an hour. I think one of them was a bit of a marathon, went over 2 hours. But anyway, I wanted to do that and I wanted to be there, but energetically it's draining because you're giving so much, and you get a lot back because, as I said, it's such a vibe when you're doing those things. But at the same time, I didn't have enough time to rest. So that was a learning for me. Don't do 2 pop-up groups at once. And then the second one happened, then the third one happened. But here's the other thing. What you don't know is that on the 1st of April, I decided, hey, it might be a great idea to come off my medication. So that's what I did. So I was taking some medicine for something and I thought, oh, yeah, I'll just taper off. So it was like 20 milligrams. So I thought, okay, I'll go from 20 milligrams one week to 15 the next, to 10 the next, to 5 the next, da 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 da. So while all this was happening, I was going through significant withdrawal and side effects. I'm talking, I had migraines, you know, flu-like symptoms, the cold sweats, the hot chills, feeling really hungry, then not wanting to look at food, or all of the things. Did I say migraines? Yeah, migraines. They were the worst. But I kept showing up because I told myself, no, I made a commitment and I am somebody who values working in integrity. So if I say I'm going to do something, I want to do it, right? So I still showed up and I did all of the things. But then by the time it got to week 4, / week 5, my health really deteriorated and I was diagnosed with something else that meant that I had to have a huge diet change, which was, now I can't have anything citrus and no coffee and no caffeine and what else? Nothing creamy, nothing fatty, nothing greasy. I mean, all the good stuff's out. Anyway, so then I was kind of like, my body was also detoxing from all of that while it was trying to detox from everything else. And I fell in a heap. And I was so lightheaded and so dizzy for about 3 weeks. Like, didn't leave the house because didn't trust myself to drive, all the things. But anyway, seemed to be out the worst of that now. Now I've just got like migraine still and an ear infection, which is awesome. But anyway, so part of me wonders, maybe next time, don't try and detox or go on a detoxing while you're running pop-up groups. Just a hint, one of my little reflections there. But what can I tell you about the pop-up groups that will be of value to you? Here's what I can share with you. Okay, number 1, you need to learn when to trust your soul. So this is one of the things that came out. Like, there seems to be people love the idea of connecting with their soul, but then at the same time, they're kind of thinking, oh, what if it misleads me? What if I can't trust my soul? What if, and all this stuff comes up. So I thought today what we would do is unpack that a little bit more, because I know so many of you are on the precipice of, deepening your spiritual practice. And part of that is allowing yourself to be guided and led by soul. But I want to also open up a conversation for you around discernment and what that looks like as well in private practice, and knowing when to listen to that soul's guidance, but also knowing when to take it with a grain of salt and maybe push back, because there are going to be times when the guidance that comes through just doesn't feel right. And so I want you to be able to figure out for yourself in that moment, is it because I'm running a story in my mind that it should be a certain way, but my soul is saying, well, hang on, it gets to be this other way, or is it because of something else? So I think the first thing to do, and I'm going to give you some journal prompts today as well. So yes, do go and get your podcast journal and pen. I've got my stuff here. Do you love my new journal? Got my show notes in. So what I want to do is give you some journal prompts so that you can go away today after our chat and you can go and reflect. Now, I do have a client at 9:55, so I will try and keep this short. The first thing is learning how to trust your soul. So, I really want you to have a think about what it means to be able to trust your soul and the benefits of doing it in your business, right? So think about this. Like, if I said to you, what does it mean for you to be able to trust your soul? Even if that were a reflection prompt, right? Even if that was something for your journal and you write down, what does that mean to be able to trust my soul? I think that will help you become aware of anything that might be impacting on your relationship to your soul now. And that's really important because we need to have a clear channel. If we're going to be able to receive guidance and receive communication, we need that clear channel. And so that's why I want you to start there, okay? But for me, trusting my soul, it was, people talk about being on a journey and stuff like that, but the pathway was really kind of hiccupy for me. I wanted to trust my soul, but I didn't trust it. I got better at listening to the guidance that was coming through. But sometimes I'd say, was I just making that up, or was that just a thought that I had in my mind, or, but someone that I listened to was saying recently that she believes that even if the thought comes in your mind and you don't know where it's from and you question whether or not you're making it up, that's a sign that it's actually from soul, because your soul doesn't make stuff up, right? So anyway, there's a difference between listening and then trusting. So I guess the first step is, am I listening to my soul? And how would I know if I'm listening to my soul? And what does that actually look like? And it's not about steps. It's not about what's the strategy to listen to your soul. No, it's just about an awareness of, am I really tuning in here? Am I really listening here? What does this feel like to me? Okay. And the way that I built trust with my soul, as you know from previous episodes, so I won't go into it again, was starting with small things, like, as I said before, like just going to the fridge or to the cupboard and thinking I wanted to have, some kind of yummy savory snack, but then doing an exercise where I said, well, I'm just going to let my soul decide what she wants to eat, and opening up the cupboard and doing a scan as you do and seeing what my soul said. My soul was like, you want an apple. And I was so annoyed by that because I didn't want an apple. I wanted the savory snack. But anyway, I followed the guidance. I had the apple and I felt amazing. So I just started with small things like that outside of the business. If you want to start with small things, I would suggest you do it the same way. Or even if you wanted to start with small things inside the business, that would probably be the best way, because that allows you then to play with the energy of trusting the guidance from your soul without risking anything big, okay? Without having big consequences if it doesn't work out or if you get it wrong. I want to share with you, like, there was a time also, as you know, where I tuned into my soul, and that's what led me to release my registration after 20 odd years, or however many years it was, working as a psychologist in Australia with a PhD, with 14 years of university education, in private practice, all the things. It was my soul, and it was my soul that was saying to me, it was just like this voice in my head that said, you cannot keep working in this profession, working in this way, because the requirements are so misaligned with what you know to be true for you. And what's true for me isn't necessarily going to be true for you. This is just what my experience was. And so from that place, what I was then able to do was say, okay, then I'm going to do this. But it wasn't smooth sailing. I didn't just say, okay, out of the frying pan into the fire. What I had to do was say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I was so nervous about trusting the guidance that came through that I stayed working as a psychologist for another little while. It wasn't that long, another little while. But every day that I was doing that work was a reminder to me of, no, this doesn't feel like where I need to be in my life right now. This doesn't feel aligned for me right now. Sorry. So it was that created sort of this dissonance, this cognitive dissonance and this incongruence. And that feeling was so uncomfortable for me that I knew I had to walk away from psychology. And that's when I moved into counseling and coaching and did all of the other things. And what happened as a result of that was my life opened up, my business opened up, and all good things happened. I went from seeing 40 clients a week, or booking in 40 clients a week for, bulk billing medical services, to now I see minimal clients. Most of my income now is through memberships and coaching and recurring revenue, and more recently, very recently, like only in the last couple of months, selling digital products. And I'm loving that. And by selling digital products, I mean putting stuff on Etsy and selling things online through Facebook ads. I've got the essential forms for private practice. That's an example, but you can jump onto the Etsy store at Hey Therapist. It's just heytherapist.etsy.com, and you'll see all the stuff that I'm talking about there. But it brings in extra cash, and I never thought that I would be able to be working from home, able to, care for my mum, be able to care for my gorgeous little baby there who's having a little snooze. That's Gabe. If you haven't met him before, that's Gabe. Hello, Bubby. He's the best dog in the whole entire universe, but he's actually going to the vet this afternoon because he started wheezing and coughing again from his little heart condition. So, anyway, we'll go and get that checked out. But it opened up so much for me. It opened up a way for me to make the money I wanted and needed to make while being home and being present for people and animals that need me to be present and home. So it opened up so much for me, and I have so much more time now. Like, I only work from, well, this is going to sound crazy, but I really only work from 10 till 12, and I do that 3 days a week, maybe. And when I say work, yes, I'm talking about showing up for coaching calls and stuff like that, and the odd one-to-one client, because I'm finishing off with those now, because that doing that one-to-one work doesn't align with my time anymore, so I'm redoing all of that. But it's given me back so much more than I ever anticipated. So for me, trusting my soul guidance really worked, and that's why I believe in it so much that I created the private practice with soul. So that's the name of my business now. So, what I want to share with you now is the idea that sometimes our feelings of being drained or depleted are going to come up, right? And I want you to know that when these feelings come up, that's an opportunity for you to ask yourself, is this a story I'm running in my own head, or is it a true reflection of the situation? So, for example, let's say you're going to enroll in some ongoing professional development, or maybe you're going to enroll in one of my programs, right? Let's say it's going to be Marketing with Soul. Let's say you're going to enroll in Marketing with Soul, and you tune in and you want to get that guidance. Is this the right logical next step for me to take in order to call in more clients, attract more clients, generate more income from my business, blah, 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 in a way that feels really aligned for me? And that guidance that comes through is going to be a yes or a no. And usually it's going to be a yes, because if it's already in your mind and it's already in your awareness and it's already in your perception, it means it's destined for you. If it's just like brand new that you've never heard of before, it'll probably be a no, because that's like so brand new. But if I've been in your world for a while, and the idea of you doing something around marketing, this is all hypothetical, has been in your world for a while, then the answer of the guidance that's going to come through is probably going to be, yes, this is for you. And here's the thing. Your soul's guidance is going to lead you in the right direction for your business, because we're talking about business today, and specifically private practice. It's going to lead you in the right direction for your business. And there are going to be times when, you question it, okay? But here's the thing. Your soul is never, ever, ever going to... anything that's soul aligned, rather, is never, ever, ever going to feel like it's costing you or robbing you or taking something away from you or shrinking you or contracting you or, taking something away from, who you really are. Okay? If that stuff comes up, that's ego. That's not your soul. Your soul is about expansion. Your soul is about growth. Your soul is about cracking it open. Your soul is about, being the acorn and bursting out of the shell. Your soul is about being the chicken breaking out of the eggshell, right? Your soul is about cracking things open and having that expansion so that you can be more of who you are, show up more in the way that feels aligned for you, be more of yourself, reach more clients, help more people, create more of a ripple effect, all of those kinds of things. So this is where discernment is so important, because if something comes up, if you're connecting with your soul and you're asking, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right next step for me? What's the guidance that comes through from my higher self, my higher consciousness, energy source, God, whatever it is? If it feels at any point like it's taking something away from you, robbing you, contracting you, shrinking you, making you smaller, making you check in. Number one, is it really doing that? The answer is probably no. And number two, is it possible more likely that you've already got an idea in your head, that there's already a story that you're running about the way things should be, and this guidance that's coming up for you is different to that story about how things should be. Now, I see this all the time when it comes to marketing. For example, in the marketing pop-up group that we had last week, gosh, it feels like a year ago, I swear. In there, I was saying to some of the participants, hey, you know what, just they were sharing with me that they're exhausted because they are sharing content on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and they've got a podcast, and they've got a blog, and they've got a website, and they're doing Google My Business, and they've got a Psychology Today profile, and they're sending stuff to their email list, and and it's not getting them anywhere. And so when I come along and say, hey, do you know what? Tune in, listen to what comes through, and ask your soul, ask your higher guidance, if I want, like, whatever your intention is, like, you intend for it to happen. So today, for example, I've decided to have a go at going live on YouTube because I want to build up my channel. I want to reach more people, and that's another way that I can do it. And I've been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube over the last few months. It's been going great. So it just feels really natural and aligned for me to do that. But I want you to tune in, ask, if the intention is to broaden your reach, then I want you to tune in and ask, in what do I need to do? What's my soul's guidance on what I need to do in order to broaden my reach so that I can reach a bigger audience? And just be quiet and be still, and you will get that guidance straight away. It's going to come through as a thought, it will come through as maybe a feeling, maybe you will hear something, maybe you will just have a sense of knowing, oh, I don't need to do all those things, I need to do this, just this thing, whatever it is. But once you get that guidance, if that guidance says, well, do you know what? All you need to do is show up consistently or regularly on one platform, and the platform that's going to work best for you is going to be your website. Then all I want you to do is follow that guidance just for 30 days and see what happens, right? Imagine if you called back all that energy that you're leaking it over to your email list, you're leaking it to Facebook, leaking it to Instagram, leaking. If you called back all that energy and invested that into one place, which would be maybe your blog, imagine what's going to happen to your reach. Imagine what's going to happen to your audience. It's going to blow out, right? And we know that, there's this whole stuff about context switching and everything, and it doesn't work when you're going from task to task and thing to thing. It's all very confusing. So just make it simple, because it gets to be easy, and just focus on one thing. Now, if that's the guidance that comes through for you, to focus on that one thing, but there's in your mind, you're like, oh, and you've got fear coming up now because you're thinking, oh, I'm going to miss out. Like, oh my gosh, if I only stay on my website, I'm going to miss out. And what if the day I don't post on Instagram is the day that my client was looking for me and I miss out? It's like, scarcity mindset. You cannot run your business from fear, right? You cannot let fear run the business and make all the decisions for you, because look where it's getting you. It's not getting you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. And who wants to be living in fear? Who wants to be like, you want to be excited when you're in your private practice. You want to get excited when you're coming to work in the morning and you're like good to go and you're enthusiastic and you're in the vibe and all the things, right? You don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I better accept this referral that's come through now, because if I don't, then scarcity mindset, then I won't make the money, then I won't get the bookings, then they will never send me another referral ever again, and they'll hate me and they're going to leave horrible comments. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. So I want you to be discerning and listen. If the soul guidance is saying, hey, do you know what? Be in one place and this is the place for you, ask, which is the best place for me to share my message right now? For the next 30 days, if I focus on one space to share my message, what's the best place for me to share it? Your soul will tell you, right? And your soul is never going to lead you astray. So follow that guidance. And if anything negative comes up, just tune in and see if it's a story you're running for yourself. Because maybe, if it is like fear, oh, I'm going to miss out, and everybody else is posting everywhere, and in all the free groups, they're telling me I've got to post in all the things and have psychology today, and I've got to do all of this. You've just got a learned belief there, and you just need to unlearn that belief and allow yourself to follow what's right for you, because what's right for them is not going to be what's right for you. Okay, your soul is different to theirs, your guidance is different to theirs. Copying them isn't going to work for you. That if it's working for them, be inspired by their process. And yes, of course, as Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. Model it if you want to. But at the end of the day, their guidance is their guidance. It's not yours. Okay, it's like trying on clothes that are a size wrong. Like, those clothes look great on that person, but they're not going to look great on you. They're not for you, right? You need different clothes. You need a different size. You already have your clothes and your size inside. Listen to it. Okay, so I want to give you a few journal prompts. So yeah, again, grab your book, grab your pen if you've got it. I want you to listen and then just pause, write them down. But the 3 questions are, what's the specific feeling I'm experiencing right now? What is the specific feeling that I'm experiencing right now? So you're going to ask yourself this when you call in that guidance and you receive it. I want you to then say, what's a specific feeling I'm experiencing right now? What evidence do I have that supports this feeling? And, what's the right aligned action for me to take? Okay. And then sometimes there are going to be situations that arise in the business, in the private practice, that will require you to push back against situations that just don't align with your soul, even if it feels uncomfortable. Even if it feels uncomfortable. So, for example, when COVID first started, I had this big clinic. It had 5 treatment rooms, all the things, and it was down on the peninsula in Frankston. And, I really loved it and I was committed to it, but I was paying a heck of a lot of rent on this place, and COVID came and I still had to pay the rent, even though I was in Victoria and we were locked down for more than 265 days of the 365 days of the year. Couldn't get out, but I was still paying all the rent. And eventually at some point, like, I was thinking, I'm going to have to let go of this lease. I couldn't let go of it. I was locked in, so that's annoying, but I had to pay it every month for 3 years while I couldn't access it. But anyway, I had this idea in my mind that it wasn't going to be possible for me to work online because of all the stories I'd heard other people say. Their experience was that nobody could get it to work. No one, meaning other therapists, were having trouble taking their clients online. And so they were doing everything that they could to continue to see people face to face. I mean, they were doing all the things, let me tell you, like they were having the sanitizer and they had the big clear shields and goggles and masks and windows open, and they did all the things, right? Because to them, it just wasn't going to be possible for them and for their clients to switch to online. And so when I tuned in and my soul was like, hey, do you know what? You're just going to do online stuff. What came through for me was, okay, that sounds great, but that's not going to be possible. Nobody's having any success with that. That'll never work. No clients want to do online appointments. This is going to be a nightmare. It'll never happen for me. And when I was able to step back and really reflect on, okay, where is this story coming from? And be honest with myself and say, well, this is stories that I've seen in online communities. And I was asking myself, well, is it my story? No, it's not my story. And do I think I have a way of actually connecting with people differently on Zoom? And do I believe it's possible for me to do it? And if my soul is saying it's possible, am I willing to trust my soul and give it a go? And the answers were yes, yes, and yes. Well, guess what? I converted 94% of the caseload that we had at the time from face-to-face to online. It wasn't hard at all. For me, it wasn't hard at all. I appreciate it was for other people, but the point of this share is that I want you to know that you have to be able to discern the fact from the fiction and ask yourself, where did this thought come from? Where did this feeling come from, right? And sometimes you have to push that back and say, do you know what? That is not my stuff. That's not my stuff. That's stuff that I've picked up from somewhere else. My soul's saying it is possible for me, so I'm going to give it a go and I'm just going to see what happens. And that's what I did, and it worked. Okay, so pushing back is definitely the right choice when something feels like it's out of alignment. The thing that I want you to understand is when you're creating a business from a place of soul alignment, when you're operating based on the guidance that comes through, that guidance is always going to be for your good, for your highest good, and for the good of others. Okay, it's never going to lead you astray. Your soul is never going to say anything negative to you. That's ego. Your soul is never going to give you doubt. That's ego, right? Doubt's from fear, fear is from ego. So if you're having trouble tuning into your soul, there are easy ways to do that might work for you, like journaling, like writing stuff out. Stream of consciousness writing is fantastic for that. If you're a thinker and you get in your head and I'm saying, hey, just like ask your soul, then it's probably your head that's going to answer. So you might want to just do some stream of consciousness writing, okay? Or walk on it, like go for a walk, move your body, get the energy moving. Like if you're just sitting down all day, that energy is kind of trapped in a very stagnant place. Move your body, and it'll be when you're not thinking about the right next step for your practice that it will be shown to you, right? And this is the thing, you have to trust that it's going to be shown to you, but it can only be shown to you if you ask for it as well, right? All that guidance is there, but it's not going to just show up magically. You have to ask for it, and that's what part of what we do with intention setting. And it's also part of how we direct the day. Like even for me, like this morning, I hadn't expected recording a podcast because I don't feel up to it. But the guidance that came through was, you're going to be just fine. All you're doing is sitting there talking, and you love to talk and you love to share information. Just do it. Like there's not going to be anything to worry about. So I did that. But it's really around understanding that any guidance that comes through from your soul is always going to be expansive for you. If you ever feel like it's contracting you, shrinking you, hard, heavy, stealing from you, stealing something of who you are or who you want to be, or robbing you of something, or making you smaller in some way, that's not guidance from soul. That's coming from up here. And that's how I want you to start really thinking about discerning now. Did this come from soul or did this come from ego? And there is nothing wrong with ego at all. The thing about ego is that it is there for you to feel safe. It's there for you to feel comfortable. It's there for you to feel like you've got boundaries and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff that's sitting in ego, that's sitting in fear, can be from listening to other people's stuff and allowing that to be imprinted for us. So just something to think about. I want to say also, just before we finish, I've got a few more journal prompts for you. So the first one is, what's one situation where you felt drained or depleted in your professional life? What evidence do you have to support the feeling, and is there an alternative explanation for that feeling? And then the opposite, like what's a situation that happened maybe in your private practice or your personal life where you felt energized? We've got battery drainers and battery chargers when it comes to situations. So tune into that, and think about why you felt energized by that situation. And then the last one is, what's one action that you've taken in the past that aligned with your soul, even if it felt uncomfortable or risky, and what was the outcome of this action? In fact, I'm going to read that one out again, and if you feel called to share your reflection in the comments, that'd be amazing. It's, what's one action you've taken in the past that aligned with your soul, even if it felt uncomfortable or risky, and what was the outcome of this action? So I'd love for you to share about that, because I think the more we get exposed to seeing how tuning in and connecting with soul and taking aligned action from that space works or leads to expansion, I think we can change the narrative. And wouldn't that be such an amazing thing to be able to do, to change the narrative? And you're more than capable of doing that. So I want to say thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode today. I wish you a beautiful rest of the week. And if you have any questions, or maybe you have a topic that you'd like me to speak to about, soul alignment and discernment and working with soul, let me know, because I'd love to share that with you and give you some guidance around it if I can. All right. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye. I hope that you loved this episode as much as I loved putting it together for you. To get more resources to help you in your private practice, head over to Instagram. My handle is @theprivatepracticecoach. And also, if you want more inquiries and referrals for your business, let me know. I have a program called Clients on Demand that opens every quarter, and I can absolutely get you some information for that as well. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Bye.